What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to How's It Going to End, the show where I, just some other white guy, bitch and moan about shit most people don't think twice about because I can. Today's episode is late because I have just been out of it the last week. I don't know, something about all the snow and the almost a full year of staying inside. I just did not get out of my bed. I only left my bed to shovel. Which is, I know I'm not laying tile or anything or doing like actual physical fucking work, but running a page like this, posting consistently all day, and this is a weird thing to complain about, but I don't know, posting all the time and constantly being on for a page like this and stuff like that. I was super discouraged this week to kind of do anything. But I'm trying to push through it. I think that if I just kind of lay down and die with that feeling, I'm never going to get anything done. So, the plan is to push through, still record an episode even though it's a day late, and just talk about some shit, I don't know. WandaVision, we got that to talk about. We can talk about the Snyder Cut. We can talk about some other news that happened this week, Supergirl and all that shit. But first, how are you? How are you doing mentally, emotionally, physically? What's going on? How's your week been? Did you freeze to death? If you live in Texas, are you still alive or are you a popsicle? If you live everywhere in the United States, are your elected officials caught up in criminal conspiracies, or are they human bags of shit? Seems like all of them are, but what are you going to do? Only humans can in the same week, like, land, can make something, can get something to Mars. And that's like a human achievement. And in the same week, there are like citizens across the country just dying because the weather, because the consistent, blind eye turned towards like the climate crisis. And then there are just people dying on their fucking lawns. I'm hearing stories, people like tripping on their lawns and not getting up. And just dying there. Just, like it's the fucking top of Mount Everest, except fucking, Houston, Texas. I don't know. I guess this is the start to this week is, to this episode is reflecting my inner thoughts. So, I guess let's just fucking move forward, Let's get into some of the news of this week. Maybe that'll put me in a better fucking mood. I guess first on the fucking docket, we got the Snyder Cut dropping worldwide March 18th. March 18th was the original release date. I think it got moved a week early because it didn't want to clash with Godzilla vs. Kong. Even though that kind of, they're both going to be on HBO Max. That makes sense. It got moved to March 18th. And now for the worldwide release, it will be on March 18th. In America, it's going to be in theaters, I think, and on HBO Max and other video-on-demand streaming services, and everywhere else it will be on other video-on-demand streaming services. I guess I should look up where those specific services will be. Why not be fucking useful, dude? Come on. Alright, here we go. Warner Brothers finally confirmed that fans will be able to see the film the same day worldwide as it will be released in the US. It's releasing everywhere except for China, France, and Japan. I don't know why. On Thursday, March 18th, and it's going to be available on HBO Go in Europe and Asia, HBO Max in the United States, HBO Go in Europe, Asia, and then everywhere else you can find like video on demand, like HBO, local TV purchase, whatever the fucks, then it'll be there. And I guess the release dates for China and Japan and France are all up in the air still, but yeah, it's going to be everywhere. I know that it kind of sucks that it's not like the instant access of HBO Max. That's a whole other issue that they need to fucking figure out. I don't know how you have Warner Brothers, HBO, two of these giant media conglomerates not able to, I don't know, get it everywhere else besides the United States. But what are you gonna do? That's not even like that's not even in like the top 10 of the issues revolving the Snyder Cut fucking drama. Is the fact that it's finally gonna be available everywhere else. Either way, we can talk about that shit later. Up next, we have our Supergirl, which I did not expect. Supergirl has been cast in Andy Muschietti's Flash movie, which I did not expect to happen. I knew that they were going to have a bunch of other heroes in it, but I did not expect a Supergirl. And so even better, they cast, kind of a relatively unknown actress. Sasha Calle is cast as Kara Zor-El. I think she was previously on like a reboot of The Young and the Restless or some shit like that. I don't know. Who cares about that? She is Supergirl now in the DCEU. And now we'll see if they'll continue with like a film for her, or if that's going to tie in with maybe Man of Steel and Henry will be involved with that somehow. We'll see. We'll see what the fuck happens. The way that Andy told her on Instagram, like if you've seen the they did like a Zoom call that he posted, and he asked her like, "Do you want to fly?" and shit like that, and she got like super adorable about it, and she started crying. Like he showed the Cavill suit, kind of like the Cavill chest, the S emblem. So that's, maybe she'll have something relatively along that design, and if so, then it kind of cements her in that universe and from Henry Cavill's Krypton, but or Zack Snyder's Krypton. That'd be fucking awesome. I'm stoked for that. Can't wait to see how that turns out. I'm more interested in how like the story of this Flash movie will be, because he said it's not gonna. Machete said it's not gonna be like a standard Flashpoint, and so far they've kind of proven that. There's two Batmen that are going to be like consistent in it, not just like how in Flashpoint, Bruce Batman stays in the original reality, and then Flash goes and talks to Thomas Wayne. I think they're both going to be in it consistently, which is interesting. But yeah, I'm looking forward to how that's going to turn out. I'm excited for that. We got Danny Elfman teaming up with Sam Raimi again after his original trilogy for Spider-Man on Doctor Strange 2, Doctor Strange Into the Multiverse of Madness, or whatever the fucking long-ass title is. And that's going to be good. I mean, Elfman's a fucking icon, and Sam Raimi knows what he's doing. Sam Raimi's a huge Doctor Strange fan, so that's going to be fun. That's one of those that's like automatic. You can't really complain about it. I don't know. It's kind of useless bringing up. The Mortal Kombat trailer was released. Now, I'm not a fucking Mortal Kombat. I don't care about those. I've never been a side scroller like fight guy. I don't know. The only time I ever really played a Mortal Kombat was when it was Mortal Kombat versus the DC Universe. And even that, I was like, I don't understand what's happening. I don't know who these fucking characters are. I know, like, I don't know. One guy's got metal arms, another guy's got metal face, and there's that chick with the big mouth that can open, and there's the guy with the multiple. I don't know. There's the Scorpion and what's his face? Ice Face? Sub-Zero? Aren't they just the same guys? Like Fire and Ice type thing? I don't know. I'm sure there's a fucking, years and years of history or whatever. I don't give a shit is the thing. I don't care. I'm not immortal. I didn't play those games, Like I said last week, I'm not much of a video game guy. I play the popular ones that have great stories, and that's pretty much it. Everyone else I play is better than me online because they do it fucking for like several hours a day. That's just not my thing. So it looked cool. I like the idea. I don't know. I don't have any point of reference. I like that people that have the dragon mark. It's like an invitation. I think that's pretty cool. I don't know anybody in it, but yeah, I'm gonna see it. I mean, it's coming out in like a couple months. I don't know. Straight to HBO Max, baby. Some more news. Punisher and Jessica Jones characters, their IPs are back at Marvel officially. Although I doubt that they will do anything with them, which is a disappointment because John Bernthal's Frank Castle is like one of the top 5 character portrayals that in the Marvel universe and in like the comic book adaptation universe. The guy is a fucking monster. At Frank Castle, he knows the character. And his commitment to the character. Season 1, I liked season 2, but I don't think it was as good as season 1. Season 1 of The Punisher was one of the best like story arcs from beginning to end in the Marvel universe when it comes to like story structure and all that kind of stuff. But that's not very uncommon when it comes to the Netflix Marvel shows. I mean, the Netflix Marvel shows contain some of the best Marvel content in the last 10 fucking years. I mean, in the entire when you consistently push out, like average movie after average movie, and then some brilliant actor portrays an interesting character for 13 episodes or however long the episodes those seasons were. You're gonna get consistently awesome content. So, what was always interesting was the fact that the movies treated these shows like fucking unwanted stepchildren. Meanwhile, the shows were infinitely better. I could watch Punisher season 1 or all 3 seasons of Daredevil on repeat, and I could honestly like never watch Ant-Man again or any of those, just because they're not, they're just not worth it. I haven't rewatched. I don't think I've seen Ant-Man or I don't even know, like all these average kind of flicks I haven't rewatched them since seeing them in theaters. Probably it just seems like a fucking waste of time. What am I going to invest my time into something that, like, I don't know, it seems fine, it's okay, it's not great, it's nowhere near, it's like teetering on the average line to me personally. I don't know, this is feeling like a fucking waste of time, but we keep pushing it, keep moving onward and upward, as someone said. We got that fucking trailer to Cruella, which it looks all right. I don't know. I like Emma Stone. Is she Emma Stone? Emma Watson, Emma Stone, Emma Roberts. It looks all right. This whole, like, I mean, that's what they're doing now. They're taking these original, classic Disney villains, and it's like, okay, Maleficent made a ton of money, people loved it, let's make a shitty sequel. The sequel was shitty. What are we gonna do next? We're gonna take another villain and make them a misunderstood. I mean, Wicked, everyone fucking loved Wicked, which is like, that's great, let's make all our villains these complex, fucking, I had, like Sandman in Spider-Man 3, whenever How It Should Have Ended makes fun of him, it's like, I had a sick daughter, that makes everything I did okay. It's like, you're not going to make this character that wanted to make coats out of dogs into a sympathetic character. I'm not going to go, well, she has a valid reason. She's a woman in the 19 whatevers they're making it take place. She's a businesswoman. That's what she is. She's she's a titan of industry, and then she goes and she wants to make coats out of dogs. Okay. I think that's pretty much most of the small shit I want to talk about. I guess we move on to WandaVision? Yeah, let's move on to WandaVision. Episode 7 of WandaVision was a sleeper hit, I think. I think people watched this episode of WandaVision with already built up, like here's the thing. I don't know why people expected for there to be a reveal this episode. Other than for by the way, spoiler, you fucking whiny bitches. I don't know why people expected for there to be like a reveal on Monica's aerospace engineer or some major character reveal other than the Agnes one, which is like everyone kind of knew. People have no fucking patience. Yeah, she said she can't wait for everyone to find out who this character is, but like that she did not say for next episode. I mean, if you assume next episode, that's your fucking problem. I don't know. It just seemed like a lot of people were super excited to be disappointed. like I put up that post like of what Triana Paris said about the reveal, and then the next day people commented like, it was nobody, just some Asian chick. And I'm like, do you really think that that's what she like meant though? Do you think that she was like, you guys are gonna not believe who this unknown actress? Like, no, she clearly is referring to somebody that we know, or some major like character that will have a bigger impact. I don't know. It's very like, it's very of today's minds of people. Like the same people that are like, oh, why can't they just release every episode at once? It's that person that's like grabbing at whatever they can, grabbing at like loose, I don't know, what's the phrase? Loose like roots to like pull themselves up. It's like, oh, look at this, this is so disappointing. It's like, hey man, take a fucking second, take a breather. She clearly did not mean for this episode. She meant in general. Same for Paul Bettany said there's another character that everyone is expecting, that no one's expecting. Everyone, he said, is assuming Doctor Strange, which makes complete sense, but apparently there's a whole other character that everyone's going to go fucking crazy for. Which I love, by the way. I think that is what... It's so funny to me. Like, I'm actually getting hyped up. This is so funny to me. The MCU in film, in movies, has so far strictly... I mean, if you don't include, like... I mean, Endgame and Infinity War to the max with all these character interactions. Like, most of these characters, most of these movies have strictly been made because of the excuse of character interactions. It's very difficult to find a solid story with, like, meaning that had to be told if you look through the MCU. Which is fine. That they figured out what to make. They know what their fans like. They know what makes $1 billion. So go the fuck ahead. Do whatever you want. It's just the people who love those movies, who go to watch Spider-Man and Doctor Strange, you know, blah, 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 whatever the fuck the cute back and forth habada, then comes to something like WandaVision, which has an actual excuse to make it all about character interaction. They have the Nexus commercial in this episode, which is like why I call this episode a sleeper hit. They're telling us everything. Wanda is a Nexus being. She's the character that can bring other people in. This is why we get to see Evan Peters' Quicksilver and possibly Ian McKellen's fucking Magneto. And yet at the same time, it's not only that. This show is also layered and layered with fucking actual content and substance. So that's why, and then these people are like, oh my God, they didn't even show the person. It was some random Asian chick. It's like, fine, then like go watch the movie where the entire movie is Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, all being like twiddling their fucking thumbs or whatever. This is the show. This is like the piece of Marvel where you're supposed to be like, oh my God, can you believe that this person's going to be in it? This person's going to be in it? That person too? Because of who these characters are, because of the universe that they're creating and the multiverse that is being expanded from this show. I talked about this on Instagram a little bit. How fucking crazy is it that they were going to start Phase 4 with Black Widow? Could you fucking believe that? Imagine that's like expecting people to be excited for Captain Marvel after Infinity War. Like, really, dude? Do you think that we're going to like be clamoring to see what happens in 1994 after Infinity War? Like, no. Endgame finishes, and then, you know, there's the little, like, you know, tag along of Far From Home, which is like, yeah, that's the real end of the Infinity Saga. Like, okay, sure, let's pretend, sure. And then you have Black Widow, like, they're gonna have like this prequel story on a character that we just saw die, that should have been made fucking 9 years ago. Come, get the fuck out of here, dude. Well, because Kevin Feige didn't have confidence that a fucking woman superhero movie would make money. Meanwhile, if you go back to the fucking Phase 1, none of those movies really made that much money. At least compared to now. It would have been average. A Black Widow movie with this kind of story, or, I mean, I've already pitched you guys my ideal Black Widow movie. You have it happen after Civil War, and you have it take place after Winter Soldier. Because the end of Winter Soldier, she's like talking to Congress. You have a secret spy agent in front of, you know, the U.S. Senate talking about, or whatever the nations, United Nations. Like, perfect time to introduce Taskmaster and all these other Marvel Universe assassins and mercenaries. You know, she is acknowledging like all the existence of Shield and metahumans or whatever they're calling them, and superheroes and the Avengers and all that, and how Hydra was secretly Shield for however fucking long. And then you have the fact that she's now like the face of the Avengers technically to the world stage. You can have all these other government organizations and secret like underground fucking gangs send their best after her. And then you have a like a John Wick but Black Widow. You just have Black Widow going across the country or something, having to get some random fucking piece of information like a USB stick or whatever, but at the same time being attacked by all these Marvel hitmen and mercenaries and assassins, you know? And Taskmaster could be the penultimate one, because he is the best one. He would be the best one, being able to track everyone's movements and all that shit. I don't know. It's like I also don't care about this suddenly Black Widow has a family. I mean, they had like no idea where she was from or whatever the fuck. They literally, we waited to hear her dad's name or whatever in Endgame, and now it's like, oh, and now she has this whole family that's alive in Russia, or that we didn't know was alive in Russia. Get the fuck out of here. Why? I don't know. I'm excited for Florence Pugh. I think she's great, and I think she's a great addition to like these movies because she has all the whatever Black Widow. She's got all the skills. She's got the tiny pistols, and she can do the flips and all that shit. So there's not really going to be a change in that area, but it's a development change. We're going to have all these characters who knew Natasha interact with her sister, who not only has no relationship with these people, but also didn't grow in, like, wasn't in America the past 10 years, you know, like around Tony Stark and all these characters. There's going to be a significant rift between them all, emotionally and like mentally. She's not going to understand jokes. She's going to have a coldness to her. And then eventually, if they keep that shit going, we'll see her change the way Natasha changed, which is actual character development. I don't care to see like suddenly she had a family, you know? Her dad is fat now. He used to be thin, but he's fat. Oh, get the fuck out of here, dude. What was I talking about? Oh yeah. How fucking crazy is how crazy is that they were gonna start Phase 4 with that movie? Come on, man. Get the fuck out of here. They dodged a major bullet. I mean, not purposefully. They were still going to make a bad decision and have this be the start to Phase 4 following the giant climax that was Endgame. But now instead, not only is it something more subtle because it's a TV show and you have more time to roll with it, but it's WandaVision. WandaVision being the doorway, literally, like in the show, the doorway to the MCU. Wanda being a Nexus being. And from what everyone is talking about, like WandaVision having opened the door to the multiverse, and then Spider-Man 3 bringing all these people in, and Tom Holland being like, yeah, no, Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield aren't in this. Like, bro, we don't believe you. We don't believe a word you say. You've become like more famous based off the fact that you spoil stuff. Do you think that anyone's gonna believe a word you fucking say? And no, by the way, this has been fucking irritating me, dude. Spider-Man 3, MCU Spider-Man 3 is not a standalone. I know Tom Holland says it's the most ambitious standalone movie. I do agree it's probably going to be the most ambitious Marvel movie in a while. It's not a fucking standalone. A standalone movie is Winter Soldier. Or, you know, Doctor Strange. Like, it's not a movie that has like people acting like Civil War was a standalone Captain America movie. Like, no, you have the Avengers in it. It strictly is a story, an isolated story that doesn't. As soon as you bring 1,000 other characters into it, or especially 1,000 other characters from a different reality, it does not hold the weight of a standalone. It's not. It'll have Spider-Man 3 and the tale of whatever the fuck, but it's not going to be, it's not a standalone movie. A standalone movie is by itself. It can stand by itself. It doesn't need the crutches of another character. And I say that not acknowledging the fact that most of these Spider-Man movies, not only of Tom Holland's, but of like Garfield's or whatever, have been not standalone. Spider-Man 3 was The only thing was the fact that they forced these, they forced Venom into it. That one had the issue, was that they jam-packed fucking Venom into it. Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man 2 was so cluttered with all these characters that they tried to unorganically force into it. And this one, they're building it up to be completely organic with Holland's Spider-Man 3. Because now you have access to the multiverse, yada yada. But it's not a standalone. It's even a fucking what's the word? It's even a lie to call, Far From Home and Homecoming standalones. Even if you have to bring Tony Stark in, or if you have to bring Nick Fury to kind of be like, hey, look, we're trying to sell a Spider-Man movie, come see this movie, because you know that it leads to everything else. It's like, those aren't standalones anymore. Standalone is an isolated story that you can watch by itself. Does that make sense? Am I just bullshitting here? Captain America Civil War is not a standalone movie because you have every fucking Avenger in it. And 2 new characters that we've never met. It just says Captain America's name, but it doesn't count. It's Avengers fucking 4. Or whatever the titles would be. What was I talking about? I just saw that shit and it irritated the fuck out of me, because it's like, that's what they're going to say in articles. With every, so far, of Homecoming and Far From Home, every time it releases, it's like, this is the best Spider-Man movie you will ever see. It's like, fucking nope. No, it's not. They're fine. Homecoming is fine. Far From Home is a glorified Disney Channel original. With the amount of fucking hijinks that go on in that movie. I'll throw a fucking banana in your face and let's call it a fucking the greatest. With the way that his fucking spider sense turns on and off, like, get the fuck out of here. So fucking messy. Anyways, WandaVision leads with Spider-Man 3 and with Doctor Strange 2. Like, they're expanding the possibilities infinitely right now. And I think it's all going to, culminate with Doctor Strange 2. And I know that Elizabeth Olsen is supposed to be in both of those, in Spider-Man and Doctor Strange, so we'll see what happens. I mean, they're finding a way to introduce mutants, I guess. Mutants, Fantastic Four, they have to. I mean, all right. I guess I started trying to talk about the episode, but I didn't really talk about the episode. All right, episode 7 of WandaVision. First off, how do I talk about this? So it's like basically this style of sitcom is basically revolving around, Modern Family, The Office, Parks and Rec, the talking heads, the cutaways, and they make it prominent in the beginning, Wanda talking directly to camera. And there being an interviewer at the same time, which is like something they don't often do. But what I love about the use of the cutaways is the evolution of the sitcom style that they've followed has gone from like the most not subtle shit with like the 50s where everything is like, oh honey, yada yada, to now where it's like, Wanda talking directly to camera saying, I'm fine. It's like, it's the same amount of lack of awareness, but it's done 2 different ways. In the first one, it's done ignorantly. Like, these are that's how 50s and 60s sitcoms were. But now there's a self-awareness to it that comes off as lack of awareness, because now there's a camera crew following everyone and they're acknowledging the camera crew, but it's still all done. It's all made up reality. And as we learn in this episode, it's enabled mostly by Catherine Hahn, who was revealed as Agatha Harkness, which is like, obviously, fucking duh. We know this, which is why I don't think that she's the only one that's been behind everything. I think it's a very simple thing to do. And I think that they know that. I feel like a fucking crazy person. I think that they think that we know that we think that. I think they're doing this on purpose. They're setting up a different reveal for an actual character. The Agnes All Along thing was great. I fucking love that. It's very much like I felt it very unsettling because she kept dipping into the other realities. And the further we moved away from the 50s, the more I was getting comfortable, which is like, yeah, they're obviously moving to more modern times. We're going to relate more. Like especially with the Malcolm in the Middle parody. I watched that show every morning before school. So that I felt like I fucking was in on that, you know? And then to jump back to the 50s with her with that reveal. And then she goes through every decade and showing how she tampered with everything, which is like, we knew that. But also, to see it happen is different. But I don't think she's alone. There has to be someone else for a couple reasons. One, because they would never, like, story structure. This is not going to be just it. You're 2 episodes left. You did not make your big reveal in the 7th episode. 2, there's still fucking hints to Mephisto or to a demon or whatever. However they actually end up doing it, to maybe it's Nightmare or whatever the fuck. You know, there's the people. This is like what I also love about WandaVision is that it's kind of opened up the doors to a lot of comic inspiration. A lot, like, it's becoming popular to be like, oh, did you know that the Wanda sees a fly, and in the comics Mephisto was first revealed as a fly or whatever it is in the show. Was it cicada? I don't fucking know. I mean, I live in New York. I don't see that shit. But it opens the idea of like, oh, well, there's a reason for this, and it's from the comics, which is really cool. And then all throughout Agnes's basement, there are like, you know, these giant devil horn looking figures, and it's very kind of, it's like I've said for like the last 6 hours, it's subtly on the nose. It's like someone going up, instead of a punch in the face or anything, it's like someone going up to your nose and going boop, tapping you on the nose. They're giving us all the information, fucking spoonful at a time, and it's building to something great. Like this, that's why another reason why I call this episode a sleeper episode is because it's building. This episode is the start of like the rolling snowball. Is they're starting with something very small. It's also that makes sense. This is the most subtle of the sitcom styles. It starts off with Wanda just kind of chilling in her. I mean, it's very quiet. She's in her bed. She doesn't want to get up. She goes. It's not when there's not a lot happening. Everything is fucking subtextual. Everything is you know on the most basic level. Does that make sense? Am I making any sense? After 2 gangbuster episodes, there has to be a buffer before the last 2, which like of the season. These last 2 have been built up thanks to episode 7, because now we know Agnes, which we kind of knew, but there's something good about just having a confirmation. Now we know how much of it Agnes was behind, and we kind of are piecing everything together by ourselves. She has magically enabled Wanda into kind of just being okay with everything. I wonder how it's going to be next episode. Not only like what's going to happen, obviously, but what are they going to do in terms of sitcom structure? Because they're in the modern age, basically. I mean, Modern Family and The Office. There isn't really any other style of sitcom. There hasn't been a style of sitcom evolution in the last 10, 15 years. So I guess these next 2 are just going to be straight up like mystery thrillers, which is fucking great. I mean, you've had people this entire like show complaining how cringy everything is. It's like, hey man, none of it is done by accident or like in ignorance. You know what I mean? When something is cringy, when something is like not self-aware, that makes sense. Everything about this show is self-aware. They know exactly what they're doing, down to the corny joke that they make in the 60s, you know? I fucking love Catherine Hahn. I mean, she's just so good at being that over-the-top, like, villainy villain. The laugh, her psycho fucking witch laugh is great. And she's very good at this style of humor in this era of sitcoms, which is like you say one thing and then direct to camera you say some silly shit. When she said like, I've actually been a child before, I fucking couldn't stop laughing just because of the matter-of-fact way that she said it. And I fucking told you she killed Sparky. What was it, episode 4 when that happens? When the kids go looking for Sparky and she's there, she's like, I fucking knew that she killed him. Because I still maintain that her and Mephisto's plan is to raise these little fucking anti-Christs, Billy and Tommy, is that their fucking names? To raise them, because once they're at their like peak ability, then they're immaculately conceived, man. It's also, I feel like that's also why they don't look like Vision. If Vision actually fucked Wanda with his vibranium dick, they would have some of his actual DNA, and one would be partially born with, you know, like with vibranium plates or whatever. These little demon boys are with the help of the fucking devil. So I fucking knew that she killed the dog in order to get them to rapidly grow up. And then Wanda stopped them because Wanda's realizing, no, I want to watch you guys grow up. That's where she's gonna see, I think, that the double side of like how she's been affected by Agnes and I guess Mephisto if they ever reveal him. Oh, dude, Wanda's cracking. Everything glitching. I think that expanding the border really fucked with her. I think it's difficult to put your attention towards everything, especially now that everything is getting more modern and she's moving forward to today's time. You can't just like pretend in the 60s and the 70s, you know, where everything is like, oh, honey, blah, blah, blah. Now everything is becoming much more self-aware. And dude, Vision is going around like, that's my hell. My hell is going up to someone and being like, we just looked at each other before everything happened and you knew what my predicament was and now you're trapped. And at least he's able to zap Darcy out of it. And there is some relief to him, to her explaining to him everything. But that is my worst fucking fear, dude. And with Monica getting through and she's finally like accessing her cosmic powers, becoming Photon, and confronting, which was a crazy emotional scene to me, by the way, personally. When she was like pushing through and she's hearing her mom and she's hearing Captain Marvel, and for a second I think there was like, I wonder if they actually used Samuel Jackson audio. It didn't sound like his Nick Fury at all, but it's said in the subtitles Nick Fury. I thought that was really good, the way she pushed through, and you can see her cells dividing, and the more she kind of thinks of her mom and the more she pushes through, she becomes one again, and she unlocks her powers. I think that was really cool. I wonder if they're going to give her a show or maybe bring her into the movies. I'd watch that. I'd watch a Photon show. And then when she confronts Wanda, and Wanda notices her like fight back when she lands, I think part of that kind of rips her out of it a little bit. And then that's why Agnes is there to be like, oh, don't ever talk to my child again. You know, that whole fucking, or there's that meme of the white lady screaming at the cat, which is hilarious. Watching how everything gets altered from Wanda's breakdown. You can kind of see where the money went. I know people like to make the joke, where's the money? It's like, the money has gone into how wild these special effects are. And you can tell that this episode is like becoming more and more modern compared to the actual MCU, to the vibe of everything else, because it has an end credit scene. That no doubt was done on purpose too. The more modern that like the media that the media of entertainment Wanda is creating, the more up to date it becomes. So there's the end credit scene. If you didn't know that, go check it out. It's actually pretty funny. Wanda goes and I guess finds like the cellar leading to Agnes's basement, or maybe it's Wanda's. I don't know. It was a basement with all the purpley vines and shit. And then Pietro shows up out of nowhere, which is like, I'm glad he's still kept around. Now, what's interesting about that is, so he's still there. He's not directly under the control of Agnes. So he is still sentient. I mean, I guess he's like the boys, because see, that's interesting. It's the MCU's Pietro with Fox's Quicksilver face, because he has all those memories, and or he has all those like those experiences, you know, of dying and everything. But Wanda or somebody gave him that face for her to keep repressing everything. This is so good. What a great like unfolding of a story. I was talking about this the other day. Like, I did not expect this to be this good. I was so prepared for just, you know, another teetering on average fucking like appendage of the MCU. But Jesus Christ, this made me like completely excited for Falcon and the Winter Soldier and Loki, and then She-Hulk and Moon Knight and Captain and Miss Marvel. Like, this age of MCU TV on Disney Plus is going to be something else, man. If this is how they're starting, it's just a whole other level, dude. I think the next time we see the kids, I think they're going to be older. I don't know. I feel like something's going to age them up because they need them older, where they have more control over their powers, especially Wiccan. I mean, he's clearly crazy powerful. The way he was able to sense that his dad was dying. And also, Vision died, what, 4 times already? God damn, dude. Your girl kills you, you get brought back. Thanos killed you, you get brought back again. And he's not fully back because he couldn't leave the barrier. But, like, maybe his consciousness. It's like also that cool detail that people noticed, how he's got human eyes and not android eyes. It's like clearly a version of his consciousness is back, but it's not him. He also doesn't have any of the memories of his past self. He doesn't know that he's... I thought that was an interesting touch, that he didn't know that he was from an AI that was put into a body that was going to be used by Ultron to commit genocide. His existence just kind of just started with the start of this show, with this version of him. And I think that's so cool. It also lets you know how much he doesn't know. Like, Darcy kind of brought him up to a bunch of shit, but he really had no fucking clue about anything. I don't know. All right, I think that's the end of this episode. I don't know. You tell me what you think. I don't know if I even should. I don't even know if I should have fucking did this one. But I wanted to be consistent, and I want to do one every week, even if it's a fucking day late. So I'm almost hitting 50,000 followers on Instagram, and I'm planning a fucking thing for when I hit 50. So follow me on Instagram and turn on those notifications, and follow the podcast on my YouTube channel, Comedian of Cinema, and on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, How's It Going to End? And while you're at Apple Podcasts, why don't you drop a rate and review? Even if it's a shitty one, I get it. This is not that fucking good. This is just me kind of bullshitting. I'm not even rambling the right way you would, the way that like people ramble on a podcast. You know, there's a signature way, and I can't fucking do it yet. I need guests. That's what I need. I feel like I'm going fucking crazy. I'm in my room alone talking to Baby Yoda. I need guests. I need to have people on here and we can talk about all kinds of shit. All right. See you next week.